Hey guys, welcome to DevOpsSchool. In this video tutorial, we are going to learn about Kubernetes. Kubernetes is developed by Google and it is an open source platform that automates container operations. It eliminates many of the manual processes involved in deploying and scaling containerized applications. After going through this tutorial, I promise you that the concept and understanding of the Kubernetes will be absolutely clear to you. But before we begin, let me inform you a few things about us. DevOpsSchool is one of the leading platforms which offers DevOps, cloud and containers technology training and certification programs for freshers and established professionals who wish to update and consolidate their skills in the dynamic IT scenario. We ensure that the training solutions are delivered by highly experienced domain experts with practical working experience in various verticals. You can join our all training programs globally through online platforms, and if you're looking for classroom workshop, then we have regular batches available in Hyderabad and Bangalore. Check out the dates and enroll with us for our upcoming batches. For more info, link and contact details are mentioned in the description below.
Okay, sorry, I did not start that. Now it's starting. Okay, so creating the EKS cluster requires multiple steps to be performed. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to perform each of these steps which is required one by one. And you're going to watch me doing it. And let me tell you, this is very important because some of the steps which I do, probably you might need to know also in order to build the understanding about the AWS also. Okay, so first step, what is this first step? Create the IAM user and for the EKS access and for the administrator privileges. So these are the IAM users I'm going to create. So let's create an IAM user. So I am going to log in AWS. I click on the IAM. Okay. And let me tell you before one thing, EKS is supported only in the two reasons right now. One of the reason which we have is, let me go back. One of the reason which we have right now in North Virginia, okay, so supported reason for EKS North Virginia, and second is Oregon, so which is here US West, so Oregon. So now these are the two reasons which we are going to do that EKS setup. So now I can go with the Oregon. Okay, that's one. So step 0, first we have to create IAM user and give the EK access, administrator privilege and stuff like that. So for that, I'm going to create IAM user and I will name the IAM user as a EKS. So here, creating a IAM user EKS, programmatic access, it's required, not needed the console access, but I'll go with it. Sometime you need it later. Now, custom password, what are you going to do? So you're going to create a custom password. Let's say I am going to create a password here, $EKS, $SCM Galaxy. Okay, so this is the password I'm going to use. Okay, give the custom password. And now let's give the 1 digit also. This one. Okay, and everything is done and giving the permission. So now next thing is giving a permission. So being a part of the one group. So what I do, I create one group. Let me create a one group called with EKS. So I'm going to create a group called EKS. Now you have to give the privileges. So EKS policies, you have to find it out, and you can see that all the policies you can find it here. EKS CNI, EKS cluster, EKS service policy, EKS worker node policy. So all these thing policy you are going to finalize. Let me show you one more places where you can find all this information in a detailed manner. And here it is. You can find this detailed manner. So here you're creating the IAM user, and after that you're going to create a roles. And those are the things we are going to do that. So let's get started. So I am going to give all the EKS user access and create a group. Now create a group, that user is a part of that group. Next, and created a user. So now user has been created. Now you know that this is the keys which is very important. I must download. So here is the key which I am noted down, and here is the secret ID. So both the things I have got it. So this zero steps is done. Any confusion, any doubts on this place? No. Okay, now step one, I'm going to create IAM user, and that Kubernetes can assume to create a AWS resources. So remember in Dev yesterday we talked about it. Yesterday we talked about it. Role is needed in order to have the access between the AWS services. Roles is not needed for you. We need a basically IAM user. The person who between the services, roles are needed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a roles right now. So same places you can create a role. So close, create a roles. Okay, and now here you create a roles, and you can give the EKS, which you can select here. You should also read it here. Open IAM console, choose a role, create a role, and choose a AKS from the services list, and then click, and next, and give the roles access, whatever you want to create it. So role name, I am going to create EKS service role. So now I'm going to select the EKS, click next. These are the two policies which required. Review, a role name, a description you want to give it, and then create a role. So role is also created. Role name is EKS service role. So we have got the user, IAM user, which is needed you to access that all the EKS resources has the access. Now you got the role also got created. Now next thing in the step number 2, you have to create a VPC and security group for your cluster to use. So you have to create a dedicated VPC, virtual private cloud, and cluster and security groups. Now we have already talked about what is VPC and what is a security group. So I believe there should not be any confusion right now. Correct? Okay. So let's move on. Now, are you going to create VPC and security groups and the required configuration your own one by one step? Actually, no. What we have a cloud formation scripts. Okay. So this will be done. The steps 2, which require multiple steps to be covered, which can be done by executing only one script. Yes, we did talk about Terraform, so you can automate the AWS services, right? But right now I can show you the quick demo as part of the EKS service cluster creation. I can show you that how can it be used, CloudFormation. So you have to go to the CloudFormation in your region and then do the thing. So now what I'm going to do, first thing what I will do, roles has been created, user has been created. Now I am going to log out, because now I'm going to do everything using that particular user. Okay, so let's go started. So sign in. What is that? Role is for the enter AWS services access, not for the you. So now I have given username is oh, I logged in again actually. I have no URL actually. So let me do one thing. Let me get a URL, direct URL first. This is the one. Okay, and what I will do, because in this user I need to have a more access to many other places, I'll give this user access more actually. So that is good actually. So let's go to the group which is called EKS. and here I am assigning mm, whenever I required, I will add it later. Okay, so now let's go ahead with it. Username is EKS, password is this one. Ah, that's bad. I forgot to uncheck the checkbox, which was forcing me to change the password at the login. But okay, I have changed the password. Now I'm going to create Oregon, and I'm going to create a VPC. So now how can you do that? So you have to go to the Oregon region, which I'm currently working right now. Remember, this is the region. I have to go to the to create a VPC and security groups. So I go to the services, cloud formation. Okay, this is the place where you can run the script. Now I have a script already run. Where is that? So the scripts is available here in this location. Okay, this is the location for the script. Okay, so you can copy paste this one directly URL. You can download and upload also, but directly I'm going to copy. How can you do that? So create a stick, and the stick from the URL here, and just click next, name it EKS. Now, what is a VPC subnet blocks you want? You can keep it whatever the desired one. I've already talked about this one in the previous session. So I'll just skip it. You want to give it the key, you want to give it, and this is the roles which you have to define. So which role you want to give it. So enter the role IAM. So role is this one. Okay. So this is the role which you're going to do that. Just a second. IAM role is not coming here. Should come. So did we miss any steps? So okay, so I'll just go with it. Subnet, leave it blank on previous, next, review, take its creator, security, data. Okay, so this is done. So I'll continue with it without selecting this one. So VPC block, EKS store, everything is done. So now it should display here these are the things should be created. Okay, so here you should be creating the subnet, security groups, VPCs, and all this stuff. It should be created. Okay, so creating in progress. Now you see that it's creating. It's created gateway, VPC, subnets, out table, internet gateway. All this thing it has been created. I'm just waiting for that to still is in progress. Okay, this 3 is important. Okay, so now if the security groups, VPC ID and subnet, whichever you created, you have to note that one. So let's do that. Okay, so now you see that status is create complete. Click on the output here, and you have to note it down all this stuff. So what I'm doing, this I'm noting down here. So I have security groups ID, I have VPC ID, I have a subnet ID. So this is done. So step number to creating the VPC security groups and all other information is done. Any questions you have? Okay, so let's go and do that and install the kubectl for the Amazon EKS. So what you're going to do, you are going to install the kubectl by following these steps. That's called step number 3. Kubectl, as per the architecture, where it should be, it can be anywhere. Okay, it can be anywhere in your any machine. It can be a laptop and can be anywhere else also. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one more machine here. So EC2 and this is a machine which I'm going to create with RHEL, and let me see that this instruction is for RHEL. Yep, this is for RHEL. And I'll go for the minimal P2 small. One instance is okay. I'll go with the any VPC, that's not a problem here right now. And 20 GB, 30 GB it's hard disk. Configure security groups, I'll make it right now open, review, launch, keys, I have it. Okay, so here in this region, Oregon, I don't have any keys, so I have to generate a key. And Oregon Rajesh is the key I have generated and launch. Okay, so now I have a keys. I'm going to use this key here and convert this key using the partition to PPK. So these are the steps we have already completed. You know that all what I'm doing. So just look at my screen. Oregon Rajesh, say yes here. Oregon Rajesh PPK. So now I got the PM file, I got the PPK file. Now machine is ready to use it. I will give the label, this name as a EKS workstation. Okay, station. Now this is okay. Now I'm going to get the IP address, and here I'm going to have a node of it, workstation, so that way I can use it anytime whenever I need it. And the username is EC2-user, and keys, you know that. So these are the my workstation where the kubectl will be installed. So I'm using the putty SSH and locate the keys, which is Oregon Rajesh.ppk, open, and I'm just waiting for the server. Okay, I must also check if this is not accessible because it's almost 30 seconds is up. I should check the Oregon the inbound, and if I see that inbound all, but this is a problem, right? We had issues, right? Get it, make it anywhere, so I can access from my laptop. The moment I change the security group, now I should be having access. Yes, I'll just change the view, colors, appearance, 16, apply. Okay, everyone is seeing, able to see that without any problem. Okay, now I have logged in. Let me tell you something here. Whatever you do, not do with the root user. Okay, so you do with the EC2 user only. Okay, so this is, be mindful about it. Now what I have to do, I have to install the kubectl. Now installation and uninstallations will be done through the kubectl. So these steps I have done through root. If I'm doing through the EC2 user, you have to add the sudo. So let's do one thing. For some time, just I'll become a root. After the installation, I'll become a non-root. So let's do that. So what you are doing right now, you are installing the kubectl, which is a binary which will be basically your client to talk to the, what is that, API server of the cluster. So kubectl I'm installing it. So this command will download the kubectl, and let me tell you, this notes is not very old, a month old. So the kubectl which you're downloading right now is very latest. Okay, so I just download the kubectl. Now I'm giving the executable permission to kubectl. Only kubectl you can talk to the cluster actually, master, and creating the one directory and just following this stuff. Okay, this is needed as a non-root actually. Okay, so let me do that non-root exit. Just a second. This is the directory. So let's do everything as a non-root only. So again, I'm downloading this one. Chmod, giving the executable permission, creating a directory. You can set in the path also, but it's good to have it all the executable at one place. So here, this is a setting of the path of your current home. Now, just see that this is a permanent fix for that setting of the path in the bash src. Okay, see echo, and then finally verifying whether the kubectl is done or not. Now you see that 1.10.3, which is a kubectl installation. So you have any problem understanding this, how to install the kubectl? Any problem? No problem. Now let's move on to the configuring the kubectl and Hapsio authenticator AWS. So what is this Hapsio? So basically kubectl can talk to the Kubernetes master, but Kubernetes master is a fully managed service through the AWS EKS. So how kubectl will be able to access the EKS, because EKS is on AWS and is a fully managed. So basically here kubectl need to have the AWS access also. So how this kubectl will have the AWS access? So for that, there is one Hapsio authenticator AWS utility is there, which allows kubectl to talk to AWS without any access problem. So first we have to install this guy also. So let me download this guy first. So clear the screen. I just download it, giving the executable permission, setting into the path environment variable, exporting for the next reboot, so the path will be set all the time, and then verifying Hapsio installed or not. That's all. Hapsio installed now. I'm going to give Hapsio a access. So how can we get the access of AWS? How can we get through the command line? Through CLIs. So then we need to install the CLIs also, and which we did yesterday. So AWS CLI, let's get it. Now install it. Here installation is in progress. Now AWS CLI is installed. And now let's verify AWS installation, and that is also done. So AWS is also done, Hapsio is also done, kubectl is also done. Now we have to configure the AWS. So through AWS, Hapsio can access the access keys, and then it can authenticate with EKS, and that authentication you can pass to the kubectl. That is a needed. Okay, this is a one-time setup. So I'm going to do now AWS configure. So let's do that. AWS configure. It asks you the keys. I have got the keys previously generated. Here is the keys, and here is the secret ID. Here it is done. ID and key. Oh, I made a mistake here. Just a second. Let me rerun one more time. ID is this one. Key is this one. And default region name. So which region I am working currently? Oregon, which is a US West 2. So I can go blindly with the US West 2, which is this one. This is the ID. Now everything is done, and your workstation is set up fully. So is there any problem understanding so far? Correct? Anyone? Okay, so again, recap the things what we did. Nothing great. Created IAM user, given the required administrator access and all stuff like that. After that, we created a role and given us some of the accesses which is related to the EKS, okay, service. Then after that, we created a VPC using this CloudFormation script. Then we created and noted down all this thing, whatever is needed here. Okay. Then we install configure kubectl, that's done. Then we install the Hepsio, that's done. Then we configure the AWS, that is done. Now we have to configure, we have to create a cluster. Okay. So this cluster, we have to set it up one by one. And this is where you have to do very carefully things. So now I am going to create a cluster. So how can we create a cluster? First of all, log in as a IAM user, which you have created. So I think I have already logged in. You can see the EKS is there already. So I have logged in. Go to the service, go to the EKS, which is here under the compute. Okay. Go to the compute. And now I can see that there's no EKS cluster is there. So I'm going to create a cluster here. DevOps School, CHOOL school.com, or let's keep it DevOps schools. Okay. Now this is a cluster name, and which version of the Kubernetes you want. Of course, it's one of the latest, not one of the latest Kubernetes 1.10. Now role ARN. So remember, you had created one role in the step number 2. Okay. Not step number 2, step number 1. Okay. So this role ARN, you need to have it. So how to get this role ARN? You just click here and automatically you can assign the role ARN here. Now, which VPC you want? You have to select which VPC. Remember this, I had created one dedicated VPC for this, that's called EKS VPC, which is the downside. Okay, that's all. EKS VPC had the 3 subnets, so automatically it has been selected. All the subnet, I'm okay with it. Now for the security groups, I had created one security group which is called EKS through the CloudFormation script. Okay, so I have just selected this one. Everything is selected and then create. Any questions? Any doubts so far? So whatever I created, the resources through this CloudFormation script, I've selected that one and continue. Now the EKS cluster is being created. Let me pause the video. Okay, so I can see that the EKS cluster has been created. You can see it's active. Version 1.10. So now step number 8. Okay, so whatever the cluster has been created, we have to retrieve the cluster information. Okay, so how can we retrieve? So what we are going to do, okay, so we are going to click on that. Okay, and there's an endpoint. You can see that endpoint here. Copy this endpoints. I copy it. Now API and server endpoint I'm going to replace with. Okay, this is the one. Now yep. Cluster ARN, which is here, you are going to copy from here. Okay, role ARN, you have it here, which you are going to copy, have this information, and certificate authority also you're going to copy, and then you're going to keep it as it is. What is ARN? Okay, it's a Amazon resource number or something like that. Okay, so these are the 4 things which you have to record it. Okay, each resources whatever you create, you get an ARN number for that. Okay, so now these are the 4 information you have to store it, and that's done. Now your everything has been created. Your EKS has been created. Your kubectl has been installed. Workstation has been installed. Now kubectl need to know the EKS server, right? kubectl need to know EKS server. So how can you configure? So in order to configure, you have to use the kubectl configuration. You have to log into the kubectl machine, and then you create one directory which is called cube.cube. Okay, this cube directory is very important because that is where you can store the kubectl configuration information. In this cube directory, you can create any files. This name of the file is, as of now, it's config label. Usually you can config-dev L, you can keep it any name whatever you want it. I'll go with the same name. Okay, now inside this content, okay, you are going to copy paste. This is the whole information. This is the whole information. Okay, so this things you are going to do, but in this content, this is the whole content what you have starting from here, the one which I have selected. You have to replace some of the information. So what is the replacement will happen? Replace the endpoint URL. So now I am going to replace the endpoint URL which is here. Okay, to where is the endpoint URL? This is the one. Okay, so you have to replace this endpoint URL. I just did it. Now second thing which you have to replace is certification base 64 cert with the certificate authority data that can be created in your cluster. So basically you're going to replace the certification data. So where can you do that? So this is the one which I'm talking about. Okay, certificate authority data. So I have got it here and copy paste as it is. That is also done. And third thing is a cluster name. So cluster name also have recorded here is cluster name. What is the cluster name? I should have mentioned it here. Cluster name, cluster name, cluster name. No, I did not copy. Okay, so let me copy this cluster name DevOpsSchool. Okay, so now this cluster name we will be replacing with here. Okay, so now this is a cluster name, this is the keys, and this is the endpoint of the EKS. Everything I set it up, I copy this information as it is from the top bottom which is needed, and here replace as it is. Copy, save. I believe I have copied without any issues. So now I am going to verify it. So first I am going to set the configuration. So configuration was file name was config-devel, which I did not change. So I'm going to set this environment variable. So my kubectl will take the configuration from that file. After that, I'm going to put it in the bash src also. So that way next time when I log in, automatically it will be set. After that, this is the command which I'm going to run to verify if kubectl is able to talk to my cluster or not. So now you see that get SBC. This is a command which displays, yes, Kubernetes master is running. You have a Kubernetes. This is a service, SBC service, cluster IP type, cluster IP. This is the one, external IP none, and this is. So that means my cluster is up and running without any issues, and also kubectl can talk to the cluster efficiently, no problem in it. Now, yeah, so one by one. So now if you want to know the cluster information, you have to type kubectl. So now you have to play only the kubectl command. Now kubectl will send to the API server. API will restore all this information in the AV store, and from there scheduler and stuff will happen. Scheduler and controller. So now this is your Kubernetes master. Look at this, Kubernetes master is running on this, and you have to get into this. So now, very simple. So if you want to describe the cluster, these are the commands which you can do. So your cluster name is DevOpsSchool actually. So what are you going to do? You're going to describe the cluster. You're going to run this command. Copy this stuff. and you see this active. Let's replace this stuff with here cluster name. I'm just clear the screen. DevOpsSchool. Now this is the configuration file you configured just now. Okay, so you can display this configuration of this cluster. You want to have a context which is set, which is the one currently active with the AWS. Name of the context, from where it is coming? It is coming from the your configuration file which is set it up. So here, if you look at this, this is the name, username, context here AWS. So this context which you are displaying, this context which you can see that here. Now you have to spend a little bit of time understanding kubectl also. So these are the commands I'm running in order to just to you get friendly with it. So now you want to see the current context. This is the command. As of now, you have only one context. So basically, kubectl can talk to the multiple clusters. Okay. So right now you have only one cluster, so it displays only one cluster. But kubectl can be configured to talk to the multiple clusters. So where is the configuration will lies? Again, .cube which you have created. .cube will have a will have all the files which is needed. So here .cube. See that inside that you have file which is config dev level. Here you have set up the one of the collectors. So you can set up as many cluster, context, users, and stuff like that. Okay. So now your cluster is ready. No. Every cluster will be having the different endpoint, a different token. So those I can configure the as many you can add. Say single file itself I can configure. Yeah, add as many you can add.
Cluster is DevOpsSchool, right?
Yeah.
But your command has given AWS as a.
So then if you look at the name of it, here you see that context name. See here. Look at this file. Here what you have, this is a cluster server is this one, certificate is this one, and here you see the context name is with AWS here, and this is the name which you are displaying. Now this name is having the username which is coming from here. So user and keys together bring it context, and basically kubectl works with the context. Okay.
To understand this parameters, the steps are what is the first element, second element.
So here this configuration file in the is like this. Configuration files require three information. One is your cluster endpoint. One is your cluster security token, and then user for that particular cluster. These three information you put it in the context. Okay, and this context you can use for the kubectl. So here you can have let's say security one, endpoint one, secret one, and user one. Put it in one context, and now this context you can log in through this. So now if you see that this is the command here to find out how many context you have it. Get context is a command. Right now you don't have a too many context, so that's the reason it's display only one context. So it will display, this command will display all the context what you have right now, but asterisk sign shows which context currently you are working. That means which clusters currently you are making a command against it. Okay, now if you want to know more information about only your current context, then you type here, and then AWS returning. So when AWS is returning, that means here the context, you look, see this here, context here is named with AWS. Here under the context you can have as many context you wanted. Okay, which context you talk about the cluster, Kubernetes, user AWS, name AWS, current context AWS, like that. Okay, so at a one time. So you can work with the multiple context using the kubectl. When I say work with a multiple context, that means multiple clusters you can work with. Okay, so now let's move on. So here we have done everything. Now your cluster is working, and now what I do, I will query one command, Kubernetes get kubectl get. Kubectl get command is to get everything: nodes, pods, replication controller, services, endpoints, volumes, storage, anything. Okay, so I will type nodes. Now you see this is saying no resources found. That means this cluster is created, master is up and running, but there's no nodes is there. So what to do now? You have to add a nodes. Correct. So now the next step, which is the step number 10, is you are going to perform the nodes, because remember, pods can be created only in the nodes, right? So, and here EK is a fully managed Kubernetes master. So after that its setup is done, you do not have to do anything. Okay. So you have to create a nodes. So now let's get started the nodes. So how can you create a nodes? Now this is the YAML file, which is nothing but a cloud formation script, which will allows you to create a nodes within a no time. Okay. Yes. If you want to read how the cloud formation script has been written, you can download this file. It's online, public, and you can read it, this cloud formation script. But right now, in the favor of time, I'm just going to copy this and going to cloud formation, create a stake, take it from the S3. Name of the stake, I'll name it node or worker, whatever you want to call it, node or worker. Both the terminologies people are using. What is the cluster name? So cluster name is DevOpsSchool or something like that. The cluster name is DevOpsSchool. So I'll put it this name. This you do not put the right cluster name, then it will not be connected to that cluster. Okay. And here, this is the security groups. You can put it to cluster control panel security groups. So here I should use, let's say, default only. Let's go with the default. Okay, defaults, which has like these are the place where we can control the access of the port and all. Okay, node group name. So what is the group name you want to call it? So let's call it same thing, group name. Okay, and then how many minimum nodes you want? So let's say I will go with a 1 node. Okay, and how many maximum you want? I'll go with the 2. Now what is the type of the instance you want to attach? So you see, look at this here, you can attach as you want it. So here I'll go with the medium only. Okay, so go with the medium. Now what is the image ID? Okay, so now this image ID is like AMI's IDs. Okay, so here I am going to use this AMI's IDs, which is because it's recommended by AWS. This AMI's ID, but let me tell you, you can also customize your AMI's ID if you want it. Okay, there's a procedures to be followed. Now is a key name to access. Of course, I have created EKS or something like that, or Oregon Rajesh I've created for this. What is a VPC? So here VPC will be EKS, subnets again EKS, EKS, EKS. Yeah. Okay, just a second. Let me pause there. Okay, so now if you look at this, all this information I have selected as usual, whichever the VPC I created, what is the subnets I created, all this thing you can customize the information here also. If you don't want, if you want the master to be having a different keys, different ID, different security groups, all this thing you can do that. Here I am using everything for one. Okay, so you can do that. And next, okay, monitoring time you want to do that. Here I think alarm is not needed. Advanced, let me check. No, I'm not going for this. And then next. Okay, this is just a review and create. Acknowledge. Okay, so now you are creating, I think how many nodes I had asked for it? 2, I guess 2. starting with one, but minimum one and maximum two, right? So that was one. So now I'm just checking it. Done. So let's go and check the EC2 instance. This is my workstation. Still is not created so far. It's yet to come. You can switch back to CloudFormation. Create in progress. Events. Okay. Now you see that here. Security group got created, role got created, instance profile got created. All these things they are creating one by one. So now again back to the EC2. Still I'm waiting. It will create not only security group but many more information. So I have a large list of things which you can create it using that. The best way to look at it, like what it is creating and not creating, is looking at the CloudFormation only. And so right now IAM is being created. Okay, at last EC2 will be created. Nodes. Yeah, for that to happen. So everything they have put it in. Anything customized you want to do, then you have to modify the CloudFormation script. Still created in progress. Still instance is being created. So now in EC2 you see that additional 2 node has been created. Here you can look at this, the name also they have named it. I'll put it one thing, very simple name, so that way I can explain it to you a better way. This is the node 1 and node 2. You can call it worker also, whatever you want to call it. This is being started. Now, coming back to my workstation, this is my laptop, whatever you can think of. If I do the get nodes, right now still is not coming. The reason is very simple. Still it's initializing here. So they must be installing engine, kubectl, proxy, configuring it, talking and all stuff like that. They must be doing it. So you'll have to wait for some more time. So till that nodes get connected to the master. So we should be having 2 nodes connected. Still,
Where will the EL be coming into picture here?
okay. So now you see that worker node has been there. Now if I see everything has been done, if you look at this, two worker has been added successfully. I can see both are in running condition. What I will do, I'll go to the CloudFormation again. Okay, and then I must note down this ARN number on the output of the node instance role. So I'll just note down this ARN number and I'll keep it ready here. Now this ARN number you are going to use with the setting of the few environment variable. So how can you set it up? This one. So I'm just replacing with this ARN number and I'm setting up in the command console, kubectl console. Okay, so this is a kubectl. I'm setting. Let's verify. I just copied the ARN number of the node instance role which you got it through CloudFormation. Okay, so now I just did it. Now if you see that, if you print this one, it should come your error number. After that, you are going to get something from this one. So let's get it. So here, okay, just okay. So now I'm going to download this file. You've got it. Now you are going to replace this ARN number to this file. Okay, here. Let me run this command. I did it. Now, if you look at this yarn file, this file, you should be having the yarn which you have mentioned. Now it did not get replaced. Okay, so let's do that manually. So I'm doing manually now. VI. Okay, I just did it. Finally, after doing this stuff, you have to run this command. Okay, so this is a command which you are going to use all the time to do create a pod, application controller, deployment, and what do you say, service and stuff like that. But right now, this role you are creating, so the reason why your role is this you are creating, so the cluster which you have created EKS should get access of nodes, so they should talk to each other. So that's the reason this role ARN you are giving, and this script will do create kind config map and assign that through this you can all the Kubernetes master will be able to access the nodes. So far so good, you have got it done. Now what is that? No, that's okay. Which node? No, it will attach only rules. And now you have two nodes attached and able to access. Kubernetes master is able to access both the nodes, which is ready for the use. So now finally, I'm going to verify all the setup what you have working or not. So let's figure it out. How many services you should be having? Kubernetes, you have it here. Cluster information you want, it's here. You want to know info of your cluster, nodes, 2 nodes. Right now you want to increase 1 more nodes. What do you have to do? You have to go to CloudFormation, and again from 2 I'll make it 3. So here other stack, modify, update, and here next same thing here, make it 2 to 3. Automatically it will be adding.
There is a requirement of code, generally we need that now. Why it is creating by default?
So here you have pods. How many pods you have? As of now, you should not be having any pods. Now you see that no ports, replication controller, there's no deployments, no. Okay, so now everything is done, and this is how you set it up, the AWS EKS Cluster, and for that you follow those steps. Any questions?
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Want to study further? Subscribe to our paid membership to get a deep dive into each and every topic. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to our DevOpsSchool channel and hit the bell icon to learn more. Keep learning.